Everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the iPhone 15 and compare it against the iPhone 14 and see which particular phone is a better one for you. Now, both these phones are very, very good, and I like both these phones. They've been out for a little bit of time now, and these are the main, competitors that you're probably going to be looking at in this particular year. So, let's go and see how both these phones kind of compare as of this point. The first thing I'll definitely tell you, if you want to pick up either one of these devices, links will be down in the description. You can get them from there. You can help support the channel at the same time. And starting off with the outside of both these particular devices, you can see they're both a little bit different on the front. The iPhone 14, which came out back in 2022, on the front of it, has a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display. It's a pretty good looking panel. I thought it looked pretty good when it first came out, and it still is like a pretty good, nice looking panel for the most part. You have the notch up top, which can be kind of a downside, 60Hz panel, so nothing else super crazy going on here that we haven't already seen before. But overall, I'll tell you, it's a good looking device and it's a good looking panel, and I don't really have like an insane amount of things to kind of complain about here when it kind of comes down to it. Like, it's pretty much what you'd expect, and it's a good sized panel for sure. With the iPhone 15, a tiny bit of a different story. So with this particular phone, you're getting a 6.1-inch Super Retina XDR OLED display, so just like before, but this time you are basically getting a, what you'd expect, a dynamic island. So this is significantly better, I would say, than the, notch that you're getting on the iPhone 14. It's not like the biggest deal in the world, but it is a slight thing. Like, if you're going to go through and basically look at both these devices, it is actually very nice that you're going to be getting that type of capability on this particular device, in my personal opinion. So if I'm looking at it, that is a pretty big advantage for something like the iPhone 15 when it kind of comes down to it. The rest of the bodies, you can kind of see similar type of styling for the most part. You're getting flat sides on both, ringer switches right here, volume buttons right here too. At the top, not much else going on. At the bottom, though, this is a pretty big difference. You are basically getting a lightning port on the iPhone 14, which is kind of outdated. With the 15, you're getting a USB Type-C port, which I think is a significantly better port than the lightning one that you're getting here. This in and of itself, I would say, is probably the biggest difference, or one of the biggest differences. If you're going from something like the iPhone 14 to the 15, getting that USB-C port is cool because all those USB-C accessories are going to work here, and it really is one of my favorite advantages and features for the iPhone 15. On the bottom, on the backside, getting dual cameras on both, so not really that big of a difference here. Wide and ultra-wide cameras here, which again is nice. Not really that much to complain about here for the most part, and it still looks pretty good. You're getting the standard glass back on the iPhone 14 with MagSafe capability right here. iPhone 15, you're getting the MagSafe here too, but you're getting a frosted glass back now on the iPhone 15, which I think is significantly better in almost every single way than the iPhone 14. So if I'm going through and getting one of these types of devices, I love the fact that my iPhone 14 is basically giving me this type of capability of giving me that better styling back than the iPhone 15. So once again, keep that kind of in the back of your head, but that's a very cool thing going on for the iPhone 15 when it kind of comes down to it. So at the end of the day, when I'm looking at both these devices, lots of overlap, but definitely the iPhone 15 I think is the better one with the USB Type-C port, dynamic island, and the frosted glass back. So that kind of covers it up there. Now beyond that, in terms of software updates, we could probably assume that the 14 is not going to last as long as the 15. That's kind of just what happens when you're getting these types of devices. Like, you're going to be getting the overall, longer lasting one on the newer one, and that's exactly what's going on here too. So if you're trying to look at which device is going to be giving you a longer lasting phone, and definitely a device like the iPhone 15 is going to be lasting you longer here than something like the iPhone 14. So just, you're getting a newer chipset, and that's just kind of what happens when you're getting these types of devices. So that in and of itself kind of covers it up there too. Now let's go and do a speed comparison between both these devices. The iPhone 14 had that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 GB of RAM, where the iPhone 15 has that Apple A16 Bionic chip inside of it with 6 GB of RAM. So let's go and see which one's the faster one between both. Okay, there we go. All the apps are cleared in the background, so let's get into it. Phone calls 3, 2, 1. Okay, about the same thing. Music 3, 2, 1. Okay, slight differences there. Mail 3, 2, 1. About the same thing. App Store 3, 2, 1. Okay, slight differences here, scrolling through. See if there's any big differences here, and I don't really think there's going to be. So let's go and hop out of these two. Let's go and come back at the very top right here. Let's go and hop out of both of these. Let's do photos, 3, 2, 1. Okay, let's go and do camera, 3, 2, 1. So not too many differences here. Let's go and start opening up some third-party applications. Files, 3, 2, 1. Okay, not that big of a difference either. Let's try Temple Run 2, 3, 2, 1. Now, these games aren't really that big, but it's still kind of fun to test to kind of see which one is the faster one when it kind of comes down to it. And for these two, you can kind of see that the 15 did kind of load this one up faster overall than the 14. I have no idea why it was this big of a difference. Usually you would think it's not the biggest difference in the world, but that right there in and of itself, I don't know why it was that big of a difference, but it is what it is. Clicking play. Let's see if there's any glitches, and there was a slight glitch there, but beyond that, not the biggest deal in the world. Hopping out of both of these, let's go and try stack, which I don't even have here. Oh, no, I do. 3, 2, 1. So for this one, the 15 slightly faster. Let's go and get into a game here, and let's go and see what's going on. I don't think it's going to be that big of a difference here for the most part either. Maybe slight glitches on both. Let's go and try Snapchat 3, 2, 1. Okay, a little bit of a pop-up snake versus blocks 3, 2, 1. Let's say snack versus blocks. With this particular game, some slight differences here, but it was almost identically the same, to be honest. Glitches on both getting into the game, which is very weird. Let's go and try Thank You 3, 2, 1. And slight differences on both too. The performance, I'm going to be honest, has been very similar between both. Netflix 3, 2, 1. And kind of about the same thing. Subway Surfers 3, 2. I guess I don't even have that here for the most part as far as I can tell. I'm trying to see what other ones I have, but for the most part, we've seen a lot of overlap here for the most part. And I think when it kind of comes down to it, I don't know if there's one that I'd look at and be like, oh my goodness, like this is the significantly faster one in every single way. I think for the most part, both these phones were performing very, very well. And I think that's a really nice thing. So I don't really think there's going to be that big of a difference from the performance side. So take it as you will, but so far both these phones were performing very well, but I would assume the 15 is going to be the faster one. But there was definitely still a lot of overlap here for sure. So performance, not really that big of a difference as far as I can tell. Camera-wise though, there are some slight differences here, which is actually very, very interesting when it kind of comes down to it. So the cameras on both, you're getting wide and ultra-wide cameras, as you can tell. So basically the same type of styling of the cameras. You're getting 4K at 60 on the front and the back, which is still very, very nice to have. The big thing though is that you are getting a little bit more zooming in capability on the iPhone 15, which is actually pretty nice. So the 14 camera, it was a good, decent camera when it first came out. Getting photo mode, video mode, cinematic mode, slow mode, and time lapse. Also getting photo mode, portrait mode, and panorama mode as you probably would expect. For the zooming in, you're getting 5x zoom, which really isn't that great. It doesn't have a telephoto lens, but still it's not that good. 0.5x zoom on the outside, and it's not terrible, but it would have been nice had we had maybe a little bit more. But it's still a very good, dependable camera, and especially inside of those social media applications, it's going to be giving you a very, very good experience for the most part. On something like the iPhone 15, this is also going to be a very, very good camera, and overall it's going to be the overall better one when it kind of comes down to it. It's kind of nice seeing that. With this particular camera, the cool advantage though is that you are getting twice the amount of zooming in. So you're now getting 10x zooming into this particular phone, which I think is actually very nice. And this in and of itself is a very, very cool thing going on for this particular device. 0.5x zoom on the outside, which again is a very nice thing to have here too. Video mode, cinematic mode, slow mode, time lapse. Some very good overlapping features here too, which I'm a very big fan of. And this is a very, very nice camera when it kind of comes down to it. Better than the iPhone 14 for sure. So when it comes down to it, I'll definitely tell you, if I'm looking at both these phones, I definitely do like the iPhone 15. I think this is the phone that I'd look at as probably being the significantly better one in a majority of ways. This is the phone that's going to be giving you better capability, better display, kind of better build quality, better cameras, better battery life too, probably for the most part. This is probably the phone I'd look at as probably being the better one in a majority of different ways. The 14 is still a very good phone, but this is the one. But if you want to get a cheaper phone, that's cheaper in almost every single way, the 14 is also there for you. It's still being sold in the brand new market as well, so it's also a very decent option when it comes down to it too. So that kind of covers it up here. If you have any other thoughts or questions, please let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video.